real.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
him
yeah.
coming to the reality that he's been basically fooled.
Well, fooling himself, or he's trying to tell himself that he can't, his long history tells him that that's an object, that's a it. They obviously have these beliefs,
and we hate
right
them.
or wrong or why ever, we don't know yet. But he's, I'm sure, coming to doubt that. So that's kind of a scary situation. If that's something that's been examined in television and film themes. When you have a great faith in something, whether it's religious or just ideological or whatever, and something happens that causes you to begin to doubt that, you shove it away first. And I kind of feel like that's what was happening there, and why he couldn't watch.
I would agree, because this revelation that he's going through too, of realizing that he loves a synth, is world shattering.
Yeah,
it changes his whole perspective on everything. But he's still more assigned to his duty than he is to his love of her, because he's still going to kill her.
Right.
And it fails.
And he didn't try very hard to stop her escape.
Well, no,
he waited until she was completely gone before he even put out any kind of an alert.
Yeah, well, that's the weird part, was the call. Because when he first runs over, the guy goes to open Romulan goes to open the chamber, and he says, no, the radiation. So they would have flooded the radiation, which is weird because now wherever she went, that's not radiated, but whatever.
Yeah.
They would have irradiated the area, killed both of them and whoever else was nearby. But why didn't he call earlier?
Right. And I think it's because he was giving her a chance.
Yeah,
he was giving her a head start.
It worked because she finds Picard then.
Right. And it's interesting, she didn't have like a little trust program in her brain like Daj did to trust Picard or to know who he was. I guess because she was sent to the cube, Maddox didn't feel she needed it.
Probably not, because it'd be too hard to get to Picard.
Right.
So
they were different. Daj and Soji are very different people.
Yeah, well, I would agree. But also you could see that in the fact that Daj was just about to go to school, and Soji is already...
Right.
Like, through her schooling. She's already Dr. Soji, whatever they gave her last name for. And she's, even before this, though, with the dreams, talking about them with Narek, she goes back to try and find out how long everything has existed. And she finds out it's only been 3 years, which is what prompted...
that scene was so good.
It was. And that's what prompted them going to this ritual chamber to begin with. Because she says to him, it's only 3 years old. And he's trying to ask her, well, is there a reason why they erased your memories? Personally, I think she was only created 3 years ago.
Right, that's
exactly it. And they implanted all fake memories. And maybe her subconscious is turning her adult life into a childhood memory, and that's how that's happening?
Well, he gave her a dream program, and I was thinking about this. Of course, that was a big focus for Narek here. He's like, why did he do that? It's to, compensate for the dichotomy of being human and being android, having emotions and being mechanical. And I was thinking back to Next Generation when Lal died, and it was a cascade failure. It was like during a fever pitch emotion scene that happened. And Data didn't create his own dream program until later, like the 6th season or something. And I wonder if that was his mistake with Lal, is not giving her REM sleep, basically, to resolve and process everything she experiences throughout the day emotionally. And that's what Daj and Soji did have. Maybe that's why it makes these androids more successful at being real.
It's possible, because us as humans, that's exactly what our dreams do.
Right.
They work out complications throughout the day in our subconscious.
Yeah, we actually would collapse without them.
Correct. Mental breakdowns.
So I feel like it's just another, I just think that's a interesting, it's not really a plot point or anything, but it's just an interesting facet of the more human android that Maddox discovered. However, he discovered it.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great to add that in, because it does make them more human, even on a small level. Even if it's not working out the issues, they still would seem more realistic to other people anyway.
I loved
because
all the little details, like she was the wooden doll on the table that looked like the drawing figurine on
yep.
Soji's table, and she was very obviously equating that. That was her dream equating. And I thought, what a great touch. She's equating something in her real life to something in her dream to try and process what she really is.
And not doing a good job of doing that either.
Well, she was
She's
until
not.
Narek started prodding her. Then
Yeah,
it
I
started
guess. I mean,
kind of come to the surface.
because I think the idea is that the dreams are supposed to hold down that fact, though. They're supposed to keep her from realizing who she is.
Right.
And it seems that, unfortunately, that's the downfall.
Well, and that was Narek had the right approach. He just dropped little bits until she was subconsciously thinking about these things, and that's why the dream kept recurring.
Right, and then he does. I don't know what the technique is called, but like when a
like
psychologist will work you through your dreams.
Yeah, like lucid dreaming.
Yeah. So and then he uses that to get the rest of the information. But I'm still wondering. Do you still think there's a homeworld of these synths or no?
I just don't know. The Romulans clearly think there are more of them, like an army of them or something, and I don't know. But I do. It's kind of crazy, and I think some ways it's not possible, but I almost wonder if Agnes is like a Julia Tainer, like the real Agnes died and Maddox replaced her, and she's kind of a precursor to Soji Daj, and that was her contribution that Maddox talked about before he died, before she killed him. Is that what she was shown? Does she now know she's not the real Agnes? Because I feel like when she was reciting the Locutus stuff to Picard at the beginning, it was a little bit like when Data used to pull stuff out of his memory banks. And I still feel like when she was watching that video of them, I mean, it's cute when she says, and you set them on fire, talking about the cookies, but it also reminded me of Lal saying, that man is biting her face.
Right.
So I feel like it's a possibility anyhow. I don't know. So like, if she was, she would need a twin. So is there really just two sets of twins, Daji and Soji, and Agnes and some other Agnes? I don't know. I just don't know. But I kind of feel like that's a possibility.
So do I. And I don't even know if Agnes would be one of them, but the way, and the mother may be one too. Soji's mother might be one of two. I think
he called that an embedded AI or something.
It's possible because now we found out that every single time she calls her mother, she falls asleep.
Yep.
We saw it with Daj, we saw it with her, but we didn't know if she was doing something on those particular calls or if it was always happening. But every call lasts 70 seconds. But they were remembering the phone calls as if they happened or the video calls, which is weird. So I'm really interested in who the mother is in all this and how she plays into this because she obviously has some role. Could it be that Agnes and her were twins, but they made them look differently?
I just think she's like a precursor, not quite as advanced, or some kind of stepping stone to Daj Soji. I just don't think there can be that many of them.
Me neither.
If Daj and Soji are 3 years old, I mean, he just wouldn't have had the resources or the time to create a lot of them. And I don't know that he'd have the will to create a lot of them. His obsession was just making the perfect android.
I agree. And that's why it's so weird that they keep talking about all the others. And I forget, in here they had a conversation about like Soji, and it sounded like the way they were talking, her and Daj were the only ones. I don't remember the part of the episode where it happened, but it definitely made me think, maybe there is only one. And I think it was Angie's talking when that happened, too. She was talking to Rios, I think.
I completely think the Romulans have something really wrong, that they have misinterpreted something along the way, and built on that misinterpretation is what we'll eventually find out. But they are under the impression that there are more.
Yeah, and they're definitely looking for them. And I'm wondering if we're going to get to that homeworld in the next episode or so.
Well, I think next time it's going to be all on Nepenthe. But then the next episode, maybe they'll get there. She's certainly going to tell them next episode that that's the information that Narek got out of her.
Yeah, absolutely. And next episode, Amy will finally be happy we get Riker.
Yes, I know. My friend, too. She was like, I thought Riker and Troy were going to be in this one. I'm like, no, not yet.
Yeah, I said it was going to be close to the end. I thought it would be like episode 9, but 7's pretty close to the end, right?
Well, yeah. Although I tell you what, a lot happened in this episode. If this much happens in every episode to the end, they got
a lot happened in this episode, in episode 2 or 3. I forget which one. But there's been a few episodes that were heavy in information, and this is definitely one of them.
And I felt like there was kind of a setup here. I don't think it would be this season, but I kind of feel like that's what they were doing last episode with the very opening that everybody has divided opinions on. I thought that it was a brilliant device that in 4 minutes they laid a lot of groundwork, not just for 7, but also for the XBs, that they are thought of as just less than like human, for lack of a better term, that they're a resource, that they're just to be plundered, to be used for labor. Even the Romulans are just continuing to use them as labor once they're XB. And then Hugh comes right out and says, we're still the most hated people in the galaxy. And wouldn't it be great if Jean-Luc Picard became an advocate? And I feel like maybe this is the setup for second season. The story,
I think so too.
The story of the liberating of the X-Borg, which would be great.
I would think that. And I love the fact that he also said in that dialogue, he said at one point, he goes, a new name is great for helping one's identity.
Yeah, there was a lot.
I learned that on the Enterprise. I love that.
Oh, there was a lot about identity here. Borg, X-Borg, Locutus, Jean-Luc Picard. Narek has a true name. Is that his true self as opposed to his Narek self, the spy? There's Soji Daj, human android. There's lots of identity stuff going on here.
Yeah.
There's Rafi.
There's
the high-functioning officer and the addict, There's Rios, the swashbuckling captain, and the counselor, the guy who goes around and listens to everybody and takes care of them. You just have this, what's an identity? And I really enjoy that whole thematic thing.
Yeah, even Agnes, is she this caring, loving person we're kind of seeing, or is she the murderer,
Yeah.
There's a high difference in those two positions that don't really match well together.
And I absolutely loved when Hugh was showing Picard the recovery room. And, that was when Picard started to kind of come around and understand that his concept of the Borg, because of his experience, is not completely fair. And they're watching that one X-Borg get worked on. And whoever that actor was just fantastic, because when they were working on the eye area, the X-Borg was like, you could just see this anxiety, this expectation, fear. And then when they show the reflection in the mirror, just that tear and this kind of joy mixed with this very sadness. And I was just like, oh my God, that is so heartbreaking, but both Hugh and Picard smile at the Borg. And I don't know, that little snippet of scene, if you go back and watch, it is so beautiful. It is such a beautiful moment.
And even Picard after that says, you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
The work you're doing here is good. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Which, of course, everybody has been saying to him, you wanted the perfect, and if you couldn't have the perfect, you did nothing.
Correct.
And I think this whole scene really brings that around to him. And that's where I'm saying I think this change is coming on. That he's realizing, because he iterated it this time. It doesn't have to be perfect. What you're doing is good. And I really appreciated that from the writers as well, that they've really started to swing this back around. And it is a very novelistic fashion that they do all of this. And I know it's too slow for some people, but I am enjoying it. Like, this is just the story, and it's just unfolding.
Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned the pace is too slow, and I guess the pace has been slow, but I've enjoyed it. I've liked the way it's falling out.
The thing is that every episode I'm engaged till the end. I'm always kind of surprised when it's over. So the pace is not that slow. I think your expectation of the pace may be different, if you don't like that. You're
Right,
just,
right.
then you have the other hand of everybody complaining